What's up, Acura Legend owners and enthusiasts? If you watched last week's episode, you saw that I found some broken wheel studs, a bad brake line, and a couple other things wrong with my project coupe. So I have the car up on the rack, and let's get it up in the air and change out those wheel studs and see what else we find. So stay tuned and keep watching. So sadly, I didn't figure out that the wheel studs were broken until after I changed the wheels, but at least I got it up here. It moves, and there's two on each rear wheel that needs changed. So if you didn't notice it in the other video, oh, that's kind of stuck on there now. Oh, maybe this one's, it's broken. It's, you can tell it's busted. It's just somehow crossed in there or stuck with the wheel. And if we look at the other side, I shouldn't be able to do that with the wheel stud. So that being said, went to the local hardware store, Dorman brand wheel bolts. This is the part numbers, everything you need to know. I'm just putting standard studs in there. These were like $1.38 a piece. I got like 6 just in case if I find extra ones that are busted. So I'm going to take the wheels off, take the calipers off, take the rotors off, and hopefully just be able to smack one out, and there should be a little hole on the back of the wheel, on the hub assembly and the dust shield. So I'm going to show you that once I get to there. Okay. Got the passenger side wheel completely off with the rotor. Took the caliper bracket off. Pads and everything look pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, let's look at that. Pads are nice and thick. Rotor, I could pre-cut, but I really don't care. So the mystery I noticed is this shock, I'm guessing is OEM or something. There's no stamping, there's nothing like that on here. I was looking around and I don't see nothing. So I don't know what type of strut this is. So if anybody happens to know, that'd be great. Because as of right now, I don't see anything. But I went ahead, got the studs in here. I also noticed that the emergency brake was kind of stuck in a weird way, and it's just bolted in. I mean, not the safest. Definitely don't recommend, but for the limited amount of time that this car is going to be driving, I'll take it. So do this and change your studs when they're broken, but do not do that and put a bolt that runs through the backside. I'm sure something down here is misaligned or off kilter. I'm not an emergency brake expert by any means. They confused the shit out of me, so I'm not even going to touch it. I'm just going to be like, well, it doesn't rub, so it works, and that's where I'm going to leave it. A couple other things I noticed. On this side, we also have a new upper control arm. Looks to be mounted properly. The other side is not so lucky. The brake line looks good. There's no kinks or tears into it. I noticed that one of the brake lines does have a little bit of a tear in it, but this one doesn't. So I am going to toss the rotor back on, toss the wheel on, and this one is done. Look at that beautiful lug nut footage. We have all 5 lug nuts on here. Still not 100% liking the emergency brake situation, but at least for now, it'll work. And let's hop over to the other side. I've already got the wheel off, if you can see, and see what's over there. All right, here we are on the driver's side of the car, and can confirm, Coney's, it's adjustable, it's got stamps in it. The pads look good. The rotors, not bad, they'll work. But look at them studs. You just rounded that motherfucker off, and that one just broke off. So time to get this rotor off and pound the studs out from the back. And honestly, they fall right in. It's pretty simple to change out. I wish I had a second person here to film and hold the camera, but I don't. So sorry for the missing footage, but you see what they look like now, and I'm going to swap them out. Alrighty, got the studs changed out, as you can tell. Look beautiful, full size at that. As you can see, we also have another brand new upper control arm. Something's a little wonky there. I'm gonna do a little inspection, maybe pop the bolt off. Supposedly it was broken, but it doesn't fit. Not exactly sure what that means, but if it's tight, and it's gonna stay there. As I said before, we still got the Coney Reds here. Then So looking at the emergency brake, I see what is missing. It's this little clip. I mean, yeah, I'm sure that's important. It literally just pins itself right there. I got other Legends. I could get the pieces, but for now, this is how it's gonna roll, because as I spin this, sounds like the hub's a little noisy. So this one's gonna end up having to get a wheel hub in the back, which at that point, I'll fix that emergency brake and just send it. It'll be fine. So now to go to the passenger side front and check out where or what is leaking there. So guys, one thing before I go and show you the front brakes and figuring out where that leak is, I did mention in one video that I only need like 50 or 60 zip ties and this car will be mounted good enough. So yeah, there's 8 here, so we're gonna keep a zip tie count, but I mean, shit's on there. I mean, yeah, I got a little bit of a gap and that's okay, cause like, it's not really that big a deal. Like, I can eventually get the clips from the other cars and put them in there, but for now, I just wanted the bumper secured so that if it does go driving down the street, nothing goes flying off. So, way to go, Harbor Freight zip ties. Yeah, I'm trusting a car on you. So we're gonna put 8 here, 8 on the other side, and that rear bumper is officially secured. All right, the driver's side matches officially like the passenger side. We got 8 zip ties here. I also decided to fix the exhaust. It was kicked up before because it was falling off of here, but now it's on there nice and tight. Sadly, it makes it look more like this versus the cool look. Do I care? Not really. But at least the tips are almost even. I mean, it's pretty good looking. We'll say that. Because like I said, I'm not throwing much money into this. Look at that. That is almost dead nuts. I'll take it. So 8 zip ties here, 8 zip ties there. Put 2 right there. And 2 up under there. So what's that bring the count to? 8, 8, 2. We got 18 zip ties. So let's see how many the front bumper takes. And well, oh yeah, I got to get that brake leak done. Well, let's figure out something in the front end now, because the back end is pretty much officially done. Okay, we are now at the front of the car. Fixed a couple little things that I noticed. One, the brake line was twisted at the caliper like 5 different ways. Unbolted that, bolted it back down, took the line, zip tied it to the strut like I did on the other side. We were also missing some bolts up here. Fixed that, so that sensor is fixed. Then looked underneath the car and noticed the power steering has been deleted, as well as the AC completely deleted. So now I'm looking in through here to see what I could find. It looks to be like maybe the rear main seal is leaking. It's hard to really tell because he has so many lines and stuff that are just like pinched off, cut off, and don't go anywhere, but there's a lot of oil on the backside. That could be the steering rack. It could be the rear main seal. At least the slave and clutch cylinder aren't leaking, so I'm fine with that. The brake reservoir up here is new, so I know that leak is somewhere over here. I'm gonna assume it's the rubber line on the ABS system. I hope not, because it's really hard to get to, but time to disassemble some things, take off this strut bar, take off that cover plate that you see right there. It's nice and silver. See, it's even a little wet. That's going to confirm my suspicions, I bet. And yeah, got to try and find that brake leak, because that's more important than pretty much everything else. Because as of right now, the car does move and drive. We took it from over there, drove it here, no issues. I have a little funny front squeak on the car. I don't know if I can make it happen while I'm on video, but nope, now it doesn't want to do it, so who knows. Whenever it's on the ground, it's like, sounds like an 80s porno bed. It's pretty funny. But that being said, all right, time to stop talking and back to work I go. All right, everybody. I'm going to start on this side of the car to explain anything that I've done. As you can see, I've got the bumper mounted, and that being said, yes, I used only zip ties because that's just the way to go. Harbor Freight, sponsor me, baby. So if you look up here, I got 3 on that hook, and I, weaved one in and out between the fender and there, and it's actually pretty secure. So we got 4 over here. I went under here, put it through the rad support, as you can see. Got 2 more there, 2 more there. And then we came over to here and, just copied it. Did the same exact thing. I got to snip them, but you can see it's, just a simple 4. That one that it's holding the wire harness doesn't count because that was busted and I wanted to fix it. So now we're going to get on to the interesting part. I don't even know how to begin with some of this. So as you can see, there should be stuff right there. Now look at this. Look at that metal. That's a little separation, huh? About up there. You see a little something? About over there. So while I was brake cleaning the living hell out of this car, I was like, oh, this stuff is like peeling off. That's weird. It's got to be holding water. So I scraped all the, factory Bondo sealing stuff, whatever the Acura puts on these originally. Scrape that off in hopes of, 1, trying to find where that brake leak is, because clearly it's been getting in here and causing issues. So that's one thing. Kids, make sure you check your brake lines and check your brake fluids and where they're all leaking, because it might leak and cause detrimental problems to your frame. So other than that, this side looks pretty good. Little boot's a little torn, but that's not a big deal. I'm not too worried. Same with this one, minus the giant spider. Oh wait, no, I lied. It's not broken. Pads are good. Rotors are okay. I noticed the previous owner put some zip ties on the steering rack. And once I moseyed my way all along here to see that there's no power steering pump, if you can tell, some wires are just cut, Oh, and the AC is missing, but that's not a big deal because, yes, this car will be driven only in summer and only during not rainy days. So now that I'm under the car, let's do a little walk around, if you will. Oh man, that rear main seal, that's a lot of oil, Ugh. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, probably rear main seal, I'm gonna assume. But otherwise, the chassis is pretty clean. Going all the way back here, I can't believe they used those factory stupid springs to mount this custom exhaust on, but they did. Going back, exhaust is in the hangers, that's good. Again, nothing bad back here. Gas tank looks good. Everything. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, it has new upper and lower control arms in the back. I don't know what brands those are, but there's some part numbers if you could see them. And here is that awesome exhaust. Like I said, I banged on it, got that thing straight, and well, now it's time to put the car on the ground and snip those zip ties. So hang tight while I get this on the ground and show you what's going on up top. So the first important thing I want to point out is I got these expensive as hell JDM retrofitted headlights in. Corner lights, I had to do a little bit of modification here because somebody had cut some wiring on this before and didn't make it work as well as it should have. So the plug was different than one I needed. Now, that being said, this plug for the bumper signal is actually falling apart. And yeah, I gotta fix that before I put the bumper light in. Headlights are not wired in yet. Fog lights are not wired in yet. As you can see, this is the center where there should be, this should be snapped in or something, but it doesn't want to. And then over here, again, turn signals looking pretty. This bumper light, though, is ready to roll. I just need to, get a driver's side bumper light. So, the other things that I've had to complete here, obviously you saw me change out the hood pins originally. This didn't have hood pins, and I had to add them because there's holes for it in the hood, and I honestly don't trust the factory latch. So had these in here. As I was taking them in and out, I got them finally now low enough where they're just resting on the headlight. So as you can see, just sits right on top of it. And believe it or not, that is an inch and an eighth of threads before we get to the silver part. And that is on both sides. So the hood now sits nice and tight, and I'm happy for that. So let's get this car completely on the ground now and see if I still have a squeak in that area, because I believe it's the strut tower brace, hopefully. If not, well, then maybe I could find that leak, because so far I haven't seen it leaking, and I filled that reservoir all the way up. So good luck, maybe. It just might have went away. Let's pray that it went away. Here's one for the Legend people. 93 LS 6-speed. Watch the temp gauge while I hit the brake pedal. No pedal. Pedal. No pedal. Pedal. No pedal. Pedal. That's a new one. That's definitely new. I'm controlling the temp gauge with my brake. That's got to be something neat. All right, guys, we are back, and I have the coupe up on the lift. And, you know, when I pointed out previously that this was rusted out, I couldn't deal with it. So I went home, got a bunch of brake clean, some wire wheels, and just scrubbed it up, if you will, because I am totally going to paint this just so that it prevents rusting. And also, while I was doing that, you know, I had pointed out how dirty this was. That's a lot of brake clean to get it to that point. And yeah, did the oil pan, the differential a little bit, and it's like, look at that. It's actually silver. It's not just coated in oil anymore. It's actually still drying from the fan behind me, if I'm sure you can hear, but it's just such a mess. So to give you an idea, that is how many cans of brake clean that takes. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 cans of brake clean. As you guys can see, I am fucking surgical with that shit. No paper, no cardboard, nothing to cover up anything. I mean, I got a little overspray on the shock and the spring, but that's fine. Got rid of all that stupid red that was on that arm. And yeah, you know what? I was just gonna use the whole can. Forget it. Now when I put the wheel back on, it doesn't show that stupid ugly cashmere. We got black wheel wells. Hell yeah. Well, it looks like the Legend Coupe is coming off the lift officially. I fixed a couple little things up here in the front, mostly just a little wiring problem with the bumper light. Yeah, got the side moldings on right here and here. And all that's missing is the door molding, but that doesn't matter as much. Do a little walk around. Got that bumper light ready to roll. Up here, we're all good. Got that little molding on too. Add 2 more zip ties, by the way, because one of these clips is missing and I don't want to go find the bracket for this. So we're adding 2 to the zip tie pile. And yeah, let's put her down and see what it does. All right, everybody, the car is on the ground enough. I mean, the arms are still under just in case I do have to lift it up. But okay, I gotta stop lying, because what ends up happening in these videos, I start filming and then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna find something else. Oh, I'm gonna find something else. So that's what I just did. I checked all my brake lines and looks like they are completely bone dry all the way through, which is great. It seemed like these lines or the whatever is in that actuator is the leak. So once I did that, I started walking around the engine bay. Found out the strut bar wasn't bolted in. That has to be my weird noise that I'm hearing. If it wasn't, only 2 out of 3 bolts for the struts were there. Now that's fixed. I know that the bolt on the back of the valve cover is the wrong one. I just don't want to go dig to find another one. But I also noticed that the ground strap wasn't there. The ground strap was just kind of bolted into some plastic. Obviously that would cause some grounding issues. Might be the reason why I've been starting this and moving it around for a couple weeks in the garage, and the battery still has not kicked over and the alternator seems to be working fine. That being said, I got into these wires. They were just dangling things were just hooked up wrong. Then that brings me to the intake. The intake was like, this is a Weapon R, actual intake for a Legend. I will admit, it's kind of cool. They have a tube that goes inside that tube, I guess to give a more resonance sound or maybe make it quieter, one of the two. So, that being said, I got up to here and was like, oh, I'll fix this clamp. And then I'm like, well, now the TCS, this right here, this bolt is broken, so I don't have a clamp with me, so I'm not going to try and fix it. But it doesn't even matter because this TCS butterfly is completely removed. So if I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to start deleting stuff. Brought myself over here, got rid of the cruise control, which is gone out of there. Which brings me to here. I didn't like how the battery was grounding to the headlight. Not the best ground, so I took one of the radiator brackets from another car and put that here. I know it's not the best, but look how short the wire is. I only got a couple options. But I still got the cool one that's over here. So, being that this car has been having grounding issues, I was like, well, time to clean that ground that's right there. After I fixed that ground, cleaned some other grounds, and cleaned that one on the fuel rail, and that's where we are. So, I think this is a good enough time to say I'm going to start the car, see if anything leaks or comes out or does anything weird, and then hopefully get it off the lift, because it's a little dark and I didn't wire the headlights yet. So I might just move it back and forth in the garage a little bit and see how she works now being gone over, because there was so much stuff unbolted and unclipped and just, I don't even know, man. But that's where we are right now. And maybe, I don't know, tomorrow I'll come back and put it out on the road and see what it does. So it's running perfectly fine, it seems. Had a weird little hiccup when it first started, but it was probably like, oh shit, it actually is going to work right. Because this engine, my God, is quiet. Like, the exhaust still sounds beautiful, but let's see. I was having a weird issue where I would press the brake and the coolant light, or the coolant gauge would change. So, oh, it actually feels like I have some serious pressure. Sweet. I have real brakes again and no ABS light. What Legend at 273,000 can sit here and say, my ABS light's not on? And look, I only have an SRS light and a TCS light because they're both deleted. That's a win in any book that I know of. So, I'm gonna let this baby warm up, and yeah, I think that's it for today's episode for sure, because I'm gonna let it warm up and make sure that the temperature gauge doesn't do what it was doing. And then once I do that, off the lift it goes, wire up the headlights in the next episode, and well, it's time to make this car into what I've been saying the whole time, an official Targa Coupe. It's time to chop the roof off, so stay tuned if you want to see the roof off and see what happens when I go to drive it, because literally nobody has any idea. We've never done this. I've done it before on a car, which I'll show a picture at the end, and you know, that was a junk car. We never got to drive it. This is the first running, driving, moving Acura Legend from 1991 to 1995 with the roof removed, and it's going to go down the street cruising. I am excited, to say the least.